everybody, this is Jessica, and today I'm going to be creating this art journal page using some of the supplies from the May 2020 Mixed Media Inspired box. So to start out, I'm going to be doing image transfer, so I need a layer of some kind of medium. So for this, I'm using the Dina Wakley Media gel medium, and I'm just putting a nice even layer over the entire area where I want the transfer to happen. And you want this to be a medium thickness. I like to imagine like spreading peanut butter on toast is a good way to sort of gauge whether or not you have enough medium on there. And now I'm placing my laser printed image. You could also do this with magazines or calendars or anything like that, but this is something I printed on my home laser printer. And I'm placing that face down, image side down into the gel medium and then going in a circular motion to push it into that gel medium and then setting it aside to dry. Now I'm giving it plenty of time to dry, and I've soaked it with my spray bottle of water, and I'm just going to start removing the paper. So to do that, I'm just going to go in a circular motion and start to rub away the paper to reveal the image underneath. If you do this too aggressively, you could start to actually rub off the image. So I like to work in small portions and then let it dry and then continue on adding more water. And after you have all of your paper removed, I'm going in with a Finnabar silicone brush. This is the 2-inch size. And then I'm applying another layer of the gel medium, and this is to seal the print in. So I'm just going over the entire area with the silicone brush. And I like to use the silicone brush. You could also use a palette knife or a regular paintbrush, whatever you prefer. I just like using the silicone brush because it's really easy to clean up, and that the silicone pushes the gel medium into the image really nicely. Now I'm going to put down a layer of clear gesso, and this is because I don't want to cover up my image transfer, but I want to prepare it to accept paint. You also could use just regular white gesso on the upper part of the page, but I already had the clear out, so I just went with it. So after everything has had a chance to dry, I'm going to begin layering some paints. So the first paint I'm using here is the Dina Wakley Media Olive, and I'm using a dry brush to just put it on very sporadically. And then I'm adding some water to the edge to allow that paint to start to wick into the white area that I've created, the white space, and move in a very organic way. And I'm also aiding that by rotating my journal page so you can start to see the movement within that watery paint and let it drip and wick in a very organic form. And after the paint has had a chance to dry, I'm going in with a distress crayon. So this is the color of Abandoned Coral. And because I've already applied gesso and paint, I'm able to smudge that with my finger. And then laying a stencil and using a baby wipe, I'm going to lift that crayon through the stencil so you can see the paint below. And this is possible because of the gesso that I put down earlier. If you didn't, that crayon would have soaked into the paper and it wouldn't have allowed you to move it. So the gesso is what's allowing this technique to work. So I'm just using the baby wipe, and in areas where I want to lift more, I'm just rotating to a new clean area of the baby wipe and continuing on until I'm happy with how this crayon has lifted. And I'm just lifting up the stencil to just check on my progress and then going back in and removing it in a couple little extra areas. And now I'm going to take some gesso. This is white gesso, and I'm watering it down with my palette knife, mixing that all up till it's really watery. And then just using my palette knife, I'm going to create all the splatters. So this is just because it's so watery, I'm just hitting my palette knife and it's just dripping right off of it. And then I'm going to go in with a graphite pencil and outline some of the leaves that I created when I used the stencil to lift up that crayon earlier. And I'm only going to outline the leaves with graphite down the center of this because I'm trying to create a little bit of a resting area within this red patch for my focal point to rest upon. So I'm only going to outline the ones in the direct middle. And now I'm going to, so this is a glass brad. It comes as part of the kit, and it has 2 metal attachers on the back. So I'm just going to use the mini snips from Tim Holtz to remove those 2 back pieces so that it can lay flat, and then I'll put a piece of foam tape on it to adhere down that metal brad. And I'm also going to use the Jess Lou chipboard accents, and this is from the first collection, collection 1. And these are really cool chipboard pieces. They come in a sheet and you just break them apart and you can use them for lots of different things. So I'm using 3 of them here. And they kind of all coordinate with like a nature, go forth and seek adventure theme. So I'm just using some distress collage medium and I'm spreading it with my finger. You could also use a brush. But I'm just spreading that with my finger and then I'm placing it down in a tiered effect. So I don't want any of my quotes to line up. So some are extending a little bit beyond, like this one that's a little bit larger is going to be towards the right side. And I'm also thinking about the brad placement. So I want that brad to overlap 2 of the quote chips, the chipboard quote chips. So as I mentioned earlier, I'd put a piece of foam tape on the back of this, and then I wasn't sure if it would work, if the adhesive would be strong enough with all that medium behind it, the crayon and the paint. So I'm just adding a little bit of collage medium just to ensure that that doesn't lift later on. And then I'm placing it down, and this brad is overlapping the longer black quote and the brown chipboard quote. And with that, my page is done. Thank you so much for following along and watching. And I'd love to see what you're creating, so be sure to share your work with us using hashtag #MixedMediaInspired. And if you'd like to learn more about how you can join in and get your own subscription box every month, check out the description below. I'll put links to that. Have a wonderful day, and don't forget to create.